live stream, joining the live stream or for watching the recording. Today I will talk about why it is the best time to cancel or pause your trade license right now. There are two reasons, generally one like a general that applies every year basically, and the other one is specific to this year, even though it might appear in some previous years as well. And then I will tell you a bit more about what it means if you cancel or pause the trade license, and like how is it related, for example, to your immigration status. So we'll go through all this together right now. Let's go right into it. So first reason, okay, if you're thinking about closing or pausing the trade license, now is the good time for two reasons. First, because I've done another video and I will share a link or something somewhere when I finish the live stream and it uploads. But I've done another video like last week about the Social Security and healthcare monthly payments increasing. They increase every year, so it's kind of like universal, but this year especially the Social Security has been increased pretty significantly in terms of percentage. In total numbers it's like 1,000 something, so that's not really much, you know, but in terms of percent it's like 23% compared to the previous year, so it's pretty significant from this perspective. So if you're thinking like, hey, I have the trade license just like because I have it, I don't really do much, might be a good reason to close it, because now you need to pay like 8,000 crowns a month roughly, so you need to be making way more to make it worth having the trade license. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is that if you're thinking about closing the trade license, the end of the year is the latest you should do it. And the reason for that is that even if you're, technically speaking, even if your trade license was active for 1 day in 1 year, you would still need to do your taxes next year. So let's say if you're not sure or you didn't manage to do it before the end of the year and your trade license gets cancelled 7th of January 2025, you should still do your taxes in 2026 for 2025. You know, so for those 7 days, maybe you're not even in the Czech Republic for 2 years, you haven't been here for a year and a half or whatever, but you would still need to do taxes. And if you don't, then you didn't follow the rules, and then you might even have some debts with the Social Security, healthcare, all that. So it's definitely not a good thing to leave behind you in the Czech Republic. So that's another reason why to do it now. Because if you close the trade license before the end of the year, then the only taxes you will need to do is for this year. So in March 2025 or even January, whenever, and then you're good. You've done everything, you don't need to worry about the trade license anymore. But if you close it just like a week later, then you need to keep it in mind for the next year and 3 months, and that kind of sucks and it's unnecessary. So those were the two reasons why to cancel now. If you want to do it, you only have like a week to do it, basically this week. So effectively Wednesday and Friday with some trade license offices, because then the rest they will be closed. So if you need any help with that, get in touch, but it would really need to happen very quickly, because it's only Wednesday, a partially Friday. It depends on the trade license office, not all of them are open on Fridays. So yeah, last chance, last call. You wanna close or pause your trade license this year, get in touch, do it now. If we don't work together before like tomorrow or let's say Thursday the latest, then it's happening next year. Anyway, now second part of the video. Let me move this a bit. Second part of the video is about the difference between pausing it and canceling it. So what's the difference? Technically, it's kind of the same thing. You don't have the trade license, so you cannot invoice, and you don't have to, which also means you don't have to pay the Social Security and healthcare. That means you don't have the Social Security and healthcare either. So that's one important thing. I'll get back to it. But that's the same for both the cancellation and pausing. The difference is that if you cancel the trade license, it's gone. And if you want to get it again, you need to go through the whole process completely again. So if you're a non-EU citizen, it might require a new criminal check from the country of origin with the apostille, superlegalization, translation, all that. It will take longer. You will need to get a completely new one. If you pause the trade license, it's just paused, so you still don't have an active trade license, so you cannot invoice, you don't have to pay the social security, you don't have to pay the healthcare, you are not covered by those either. But if you want to reactivate the trade license, it's basically just go into the trade license office saying, hey, I want to reactivate it, and that's kind of it. You should still have active business seat. So if you're getting the brain freeze. If you're getting the virtual business address, then you might need to pay for renewals, even if you have the trade license paused. So there is some cost related to that if you use the virtual one, but you don't have to pay the monthly fees, and it's very easy to reactivate the trade license. Of course, the social security, healthcare, income tax, you will need to reactivate it as well. So it's similar from this perspective to like getting a completely new trade license, but getting the trade license itself is way easier. Generally speaking, you can pause the trade license for any amount of time. So you can do it for a month, you can do it for 6 months, you can do it for 7 years. The latest you can do it, or like the longest period of time, is until the same date of 2099. So today is 16th of December. So if you wanted to pause your trade license today, you could pause it until 16th of December 2099. If you're still alive by then, the trade license will reactivate itself. So keep it in mind. If you have a long-term visa, long-term residence permit in the Czech Republic as a non-EU citizen, then the trade license always have only the same validity as your most recent visa or residence permit. So let's say 2 years or 1 year or whatever is the validity of your visa. So the maximum for how long you can pause it is the validity of your visa, because if you don't have the visa, you don't have the trade license, so you cannot pause it for longer than the validity of your visa. Yeah, so that's the difference between pausing and canceling. And now, how is it related to your life in the Czech Republic? So from the kind of immigration perspective, let's say for EU citizen, doesn't matter. If you're an EU citizen, you have the trade license, then you pause it or cancel it, does not really affect you in any way from the immigration perspective. I'll get to the other perspectives, but immigration perspective, no problem, nothing changes for you basically. If you're a non-EU citizen, then you should be careful, because if you have a residence permit based on the trade license, so if you have the business residence permit, typically an English teacher or digital nomads, freelance digital nomads, or similar people in similar situation, then in that case, your trade license is the purpose of your stay. So if you pause or cancel your trade license, your visa or residence permit could potentially be canceled as well, because you're not fulfilling the purpose of your stay. Your purpose of stay here is to freelance, and when you pause or cancel a trade license, you don't freelance anymore, so you don't fulfill the purpose of the visa, and the visa can be canceled. I'm not saying it happens immediately, it usually doesn't, but when the ministry realizes that your trade license is no longer active, they will start the cancellation process, and they can eventually cancel your visa or residence permit. If you have the trade license and it's not directly related to your residence permit, let's say you have a student visa or you have a family reunification, residence permit, whatever, and you have the trade license, when you cancel it, when you pause it, it does not affect your visa directly, but it can still affect some aspects. For example, the trade license can be used, or your income through freelancing can be used for your application as the proof of income. So for example, if you have a student residence permit, every time you extend, you have to show either that you have enough money in your bank or that you're making enough money on monthly basis. And if you are trying to use the second part, like that you're making enough money on monthly basis, and you cancel your trade license or oppose it, then you technically have no longer any income, and that could be a problem for your application. Similarly, if you're under the family reunification, for example, your spouse does not make enough for both of you, so you're supplementing the income through your trade license, then if you cancel or oppose the trade license, your income as a family might not be high enough, and that could potentially lead to denials of your extensions and stuff like that. So you need to be careful, but only in case the trade license is related to your immigration status directly, or if the income coming through the trade license is related to your immigration status. Oh, I think that's kind of, no, it's not it. One more thing which is important. I mentioned it before, but I want to emphasize it because it's important. Once you stop the trade license, or once you pause or cancel the trade license, and if you have health insurance, public health insurance related to the trade license, that stops immediately as well. So from the day when your trade license is canceled, you are no longer insured, or paused, it doesn't matter. Then you're no longer insured. So be careful if you plan some surgeries or if you need some medication or stuff like that. It might be worth to keep the trade license even if you don't make any money, because it might still be cheaper to pay the 8,000 crowns a month than pay, I don't know, 200,000 for some surgery, or if you're getting like very expensive medication through the public healthcare, stuff like that. So keep this in mind, that if you stop or pause the trade license, it will also stop basically your health insurance. So the other thing is that you always must be insured when you're in the Czech Republic. So basically from the date when your trade license is paused or cancelled, you have to buy a private health insurance to still comply with the immigration rules. And that applies also to EU citizens. Also, EU citizens should be insured during your whole stay in the Czech Republic. So even if you don't have a job, you don't have the trade license, you should have a health insurance. So keep this in mind. This is very important because it can potentially get you in trouble. If you cancel a trade license and then you remember that you have to go to a doctor to pick up your medication 2 weeks later, not good. Not good. That's not good. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. If you have any questions, please comment under the video. I'll be happy to answer those, or get in touch. There should be a link to, I got better actually, because you wanted to contact me, and I was always saying in my previous videos that I will put the link to the description of the video, and it wasn't there in the beginning when I started live stream. Now I improved and the link should already be there. So if you have any questions, you need any services, any help, then go to the description. There is a link to form, fill in the form, we'll get in touch with you. Huang Chen, the link is already in the description of the video. So whenever I stop the video, you should be able to find it there. So guys, thank you very much for joining. If you find this useful, please share it, like it, comment, you know the drill, help others as well. And I'll see you again Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.